Good evening, I'm Shehab and this is ITV News London. For the thousands of children in the capital who rely on free school meals, the holidays can be a time of hunger and struggle. Food banks are often closed during the festive period, but for the first time, the charity, the Felix Project, have opened some pop-ups around London to help ease the burden over Christmas. But as Carolyn Sim reports, the charity simply can't keep up with the demand.
Schools may be out, but these gates are open. For the first time, they're running a food bank during the Christmas holidays at Henry Fawcett Primary School in Lambeth.
Most of these children get their food and sustenance at school. That's their main meal. So during the holidays and during the pandemic, where was that coming from?
How much are families around here struggling?
Oh my goodness, so many. I mean, you have the ones that you know about, but literally now with the whole cost of living situation, it's everyone.
There's a few treats today. The food's provided by the Felix Project, a charity which gets surplus food from supermarkets and delivers it to those who need it. And this year, that need is higher than ever before. And because most food banks are closed over Christmas, the charity decided not to take a break.
We have 500 on our waiting list. I'm working with schools and I see about 3 to 4 schools register each week. That is a crazy amount. We've never seen that many schools want to receive food from us. However, our costs are also rising and we're at capacity.
And people coming here today told us they would really struggle without it.
Things ain't getting easier right now and, it does help. And I would say that the work that I do, it pays quite well, but even that doesn't stretch enough sometimes, you know what I mean? So
my son is special needs. He's not going into school at the moment, so he's at home, and when he's in school, he would have been eating in school, whereas he's at home, have to be providing more now. So with this bit, it does help.
It's a help, at least at home, especially when it's a family of 5 and it's hard sometimes.
6 times as much food was delivered to the food bank this week, and at the start they didn't think it would all go, but because of the demand, we're only 15 minutes into the session and it's almost all gone.
Minutes later, staff had to start turning people away. With no sign of an improvement to this cost of living crisis, it's likely food banks like this will have to keep going all year round. Carolyn Sim, ITV News.
The Surrey and Sussex Healthcare NHS Trust has declared a critical incident following increased pressure on hospitals over the festive period. Hannah Kings joins me now. Hannah, how have things got to this point?
Well, the Trust has seen an increased demand across all its services in the past few days. That's everything from A&E to GP practices and the 999 and 111 telephone services. It says that increased pressure has been particularly difficult to manage because of an unusual level of staff absence due to illness. Earlier today, we went to East Surrey Hospital to see how patients there were finding things.
The hospital is very busy by the looks of it, yeah. There's people on trolleys outside departments and things.
No, it was busy yesterday. They were queuing up in the corridor on stretchers to get into A&E. It's not fun, but you just got to sit there, haven't you? But it's too many people and not enough staff.
The Trust says that its doctors and nurses are working tirelessly to continue to provide safe care for patients. It says it has seen some improvement following a significant number of discharges and that preparations are being made to deal with the expected pressures over this weekend. And of course, New Year does tend to be particularly busy for hospitals, as we know. Patients are being reassured tonight, though, that essential services remain open. So if you think you need urgent care, the advice is still to come forward. And if you do have a scheduled appointment with the Trust, go to it unless they contact you and tell you otherwise.
Hannah, thank you very much. A 25-year-old man has been arrested after a woman was shot in North London in the early hours of Tuesday morning. Police and ambulance services were called to the scene at 6:30 on West Green Road in Tottenham and arrived to find no one with injuries, but hospital records show that a 24-year-old woman was treated nearby. A woman who gave birth to a baby weighing only 690 grams at the Evelina London Hospital is backing their Christmas appeal, saying funds could help to improve facilities and rooms for new mums. Eleanor Knight spent 2 months in the neonatal intensive care unit after her baby Blake was born premature. Anila Dami went to find out more.
Unfortunately, they come back round saying your waters have broken.
For many, that's a happy moment. But Eleanor's waters broke at 22 weeks. And in February, Blake was born at around 24 weeks, weighing just 690 grams.
Sometimes I look at him and I think, gosh, I can't believe we started from there, and, you know, I get a bit emotional. But then sometimes I look at him and I think, you wouldn't even know he was premature.
And there have been ups and downs. Eleanor was transferred to the Evelina London Children's Hospital, based in St Thomas's Hospital, where Blake would be able to get the care he needs. But she caught an infection in her womb, was induced and had to give birth.
He was in the incubator, and one of the nurses actually said to me, like, oh, do you want to touch him? Do you want to take a photo? And I was so, like, astounded. I didn't think I'd be able to do that. So I remember touching his little nose and his head. That was just, like, you know, heartwarming.
While Eleanor champions the care she received, she's supporting a fundraiser to spruce up the neonatal intensive care unit, where she spent over 2 months, and particularly wants to see the milk expressing room revamped.
It's like a small cupboard. Just having a window and fresh air makes such a lot of difference.
The Evelina London unit is about 20 years old and can have up to 50 parents using the unit when it's at its busiest.
We're really hoping to improve our parent spaces. The fundraiser is a way for us to try and make our areas for our parents a bit more homey, inviting. They can spend a matter of weeks here or months.
It's stories like Eleanor's that have inspired the Evelina London's Christmas appeal to make improvements on the ward that cares for seriously ill babies and their parents by providing vital support when they need it most.
You know, without the hospital and everything there, I don't think, like, we would be here today.
And some nicer furnishings could make it a more comfortable journey in the future. Anila Dami, ITV News.
ITV News London have also been following the journey of Michael Hook, the father of Isla Caton, who died from a rare form of cancer at the age of just 7 earlier this year. Michael is travelling from Hornchurch to Africa and back, hoping to raise money for research. He's been stopping off at places which held meaning to Isla, which includes the hospital in Barcelona, which helped care for her.
It was bittersweet for me because obviously we'd been treated in that hospital for nearly 3 years. So it was like a sort of second home to us. So, yeah, I was a bit sort of hesitant about going there, but I'm so glad I went because they were so nice.
Finally tonight, paintbrushes and a canvas are probably the first things that come to mind when you think of what's needed to create a work of art. But for Braintree artist James Cook, all he needs is a typewriter. He's been using the machines to create some stunning portraits, which have even caught the eye of one of Hollywood's biggest A-listers. David Henry has the story.
This typewriter can turn pieces of paper into works of art.
It's something I've been doing for 8 years now, and it's essentially using all the letters, numbers and punctuation marks on the keyboard of a typical vintage typewriter and making drawings with it. Some of these machines are 100 years old, and you know, I think what's nice about it is, you know, there are some technologies that never die, regardless of how old they are, and some technologies have a shelf life, whereas I feel like this doesn't. I feel like there's so much potential.
Do you have a favourite typewriter?
A favourite typewriter? It's always the one that works.
James started small, but it wasn't long before stars from the States started taking notice. Tell me about Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks, well, he is an avid collector of typewriters. I think he's got about 140 of them, so he's got a lot more than me.
After James's work featured on US television, producers put the pair in touch.
And so I was able to give or send a drawing to him, and he returned it. He'd signed the drawing for me, which is really nice. I didn't expect that at all, so that was really good. Felt good.
Despite the international acclaim, London remains the focus of his work.
And particularly like locations that are generally not accessible to the public. So in December, I'm going to be visiting Central Hall in Westminster on the top of their dome, and they've allowed me to go up there. It's a really tiny spiral staircase that takes you up to the very top of the dome. And I'm going to be up there doing an on-location drawing of a panoramic view of London and Westminster.
Plenty to look forward to in the new year as James's typewriter takes his artwork to new heights. Daniel Henry, ITV News.
Right, it's been another grey day in the capital, not as wet as yesterday though. Let's see if it'll stay that way. Here's Philippa Drew with the weather.
ITV London weekday weather is sponsored by Octopus Electric Vehicles. Car, charger and energy.
Hello there. Well, things have certainly been fairly unsettled over the last few days, and that remains the case as we round off 2022 with further spells of wet and windy weather taking us into the weekend. But as we start the new year, there are hints of something a little bit more settled on the way. So this is what's going on at the moment. Low pressure very much in charge, continuing to feed fronts our way, bringing spells of rain. But as we head into the new year, a little ridge of high pressure looks set to build in from the south, and that should settle things down at least for a time. Out there at the moment, things looking relatively quiet through this evening. Any earlier showers gradually fading. But as the night wears on, we will start to pull in a bit more cloud from the west. The winds will pick up as well. But of course, with the increasing winds, it will be a frost-free night. Temperatures for most of us probably not much lower than 4 or 5 Celsius. But it's tomorrow morning where we see the next batch of wet weather swinging its way eastwards, quite persistent and locally heavy for a time as it works its way across the region. But signs that things will improve a little into the afternoon. The heaviest rain clearing, still quite a bit of cloud on the scene and some further showery outbreaks, but equally perhaps some brighter sunny spells coming through as well. For all of us, temperatures a little higher than they have been today, peaking at around 12 or 13 degrees, but still quite a brisk breeze, and that will make it feel somewhat fresher. So fairly quiet overnight into New Year's Eve, but New Year's Eve itself another very unsettled day. You can see fronts never too far away, further spells of rain heading towards the London region. So all in all, a very changeable end to 2022. But as I said, as we work our way into the new year, signs of something a little bit drier, a little bit brighter, and perhaps a little bit chillier too.
ITV London weekday weather is sponsored by Octopus Electric Vehicles.
And that is it from me. Coming up is Lucrezia Millarini with the ITV Evening News. From all of us here on the London team, have a lovely evening. Goodbye.